Today is Wednesday, April 1st, 2026. And obviously it's April Fool's Day, which is one day of the year when people expect to be lied to on purpose. It is also National Sourdough Bread Day, which I assume is unrelated, although sourdough starters have been known to behave unpredictably. Welcome to This Day in History from, wait, that's random. I'm your host, C.L. Burns. On April 1st, 1700, England began officially recognizing January 1st as the start of the new year, aligning itself with much of continental Europe. Before that change, the English calendar treated March 25th, known as Lady Day, as the beginning of the year. Calendar systems have shifted several times throughout history. In this case, England was gradually aligning itself with the Georgian calendar system, which standardized dates across many European countries. Because the older calendar placed New Year's celebrations around late March, some historians believe this transition may have contributed to the traditions behind April Fool's Day. The story goes that people who continued celebrating the new year around the end of March were jokingly called April Fools. Now, historians debate how accurate that story really is, but it does show how easily traditions can grow out of something as simple as moving a date on the calendar. Sometimes changing one line in the calendar can accidentally create a holiday. And speaking of things that turn out not to be exactly what they seem, on April 1st, 1957, the BBC aired what became one of the most famous April Fool's jokes ever broadcast. The television program Panorama showed a seemingly serious news report about a family in Switzerland harvesting spaghetti from trees. The segment included footage of people picking strands of spaghetti from branches and laying them out to dry in the sun. The narration explained that a mild winter had produced an excellent spaghetti harvest. Today it sounds obviously ridiculous. But in the 1950s, spaghetti was still relatively unfamiliar to many people in the United Kingdom. For viewers who had never seen pasta being made, the story didn't immediately sound impossible. After the broadcast aired, the BBC reportedly received numerous phone calls from viewers asking how they could grow their own spaghetti trees. The BBC's response was reportedly simple. Place a sprig of spaghetti in a tin of tomato sauce and hope for the best. Which is still probably the most polite way to tell someone they've been fooled. Of course, sometimes things introduced on April 1st actually turn out to be completely real, even if people initially assume that they're a joke. On April 1st, 1976, Apple Computer was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. The company started in a garage in Los Altos, California during the early days of personal computing. At the time, most computers were massive machines used by governments, universities, or large corporations. Wozniak's design for the Apple I aimed to change that by creating a computer that individuals could actually own and operate at home. The Apple I worked using a microprocessor that could execute instructions, store small amounts of data in memory, and output information to a monitor or television screen. Unlike earlier hobbyist kits that required extensive assembly, the Apple I came with its circuitry already assembled on a board. Buyers mainly needed to connect a keyboard, display, and power supply. Only about 200 units were ever produced, but the idea behind it helped spark the personal computer revolution. It turned out founding a company on April Fool's Day might sound like a joke, but this one definitely wasn't. If you look back at these moments together, a pattern begins to appear. A calendar change may have helped inspire a global day of pranks. A television broadcast demonstrates how easily people believe convincing stories. And a small company founded in a garage helps launch a personal computer era. Different centuries, different kinds of surprises. But each one reminds us that sometimes the most interesting things start with something that seems a little unlikely. Anyway, those are a few of the things I ended up discovering while wandering through April 1st. Stop by tomorrow and we'll see what strange corners of history the next date decides to show us. If you want to know more about me or the work I do, you can find everything at waitthat'srandom.com. I'm C.L. Burns, and I appreciate you stopping by.